Most people think night security is easy. You sit in a quiet lobby, drink bad coffee, watch a wall of cameras, and wait for morning. That's what I thought too. Until the night I answered an alarm from a floor that didn't exist. I still don't know what would have happened if I had ignored it. Maybe I'd still be working security. Maybe I'd still be able to step into an elevator without my hands shaking. But I did answer it. And now, every time I walk into a tall office building, I catch myself looking for one number: 13. It happened in November of 2023 in downtown Chicago at a place called Harrington Corporate Tower. 27 floors, polished marble lobby, expensive tenants, the kind of building that looked clean and perfect during the day and completely dead after midnight. And I had been working night security there for a little over 6 months. Most shifts were uneventful. A few late employees, cleaning crews on random floors, delivery guys dropping off boxes no one needed until morning. After about 11 p.m., the building usually became so quiet you could hear the air vents humming through the walls. That night, I was alone in the lobby. It was 2:11 in the morning. I remember the time because I had just looked at the clock above the security desk and told myself I only had a few more hours to go. The city outside the glass doors looked cold and empty. Wind pushed loose paper across the sidewalk. The streets weren't completely dead, but close enough. Every now and then headlights would slide past the front windows, then disappear. Inside, the building felt sealed off from everything, too still. My eye was sitting behind the desk, half watching the security monitors, half drinking coffee that had been sitting on the warmer too long, when one of the screens flickered. At first, I didn't think much of it. The system was old. Screens glitched sometimes. But then a red warning box appeared on the main monitor. Alarm triggered. I leaned forward and set my cup down. The system brought up the floor automatically. For a second, I thought I was reading it wrong. Then I leaned in closer. Floor 13. Motion detected. I stared at the screen. Harrington Tower didn't have a 13th floor. Like a lot of buildings in the city, it jumped from 12 straight to 14. Management liked telling tenants it was for aesthetic reasons, but everyone knew it was superstition. Still, I opened the building directory beside the desk just to be sure. 12, 13. In number 13. I looked back at the monitor. The alert was still blinking. Then the system chimed again. A second message appeared beneath the first. Camera feed unavailable. Floor 13. That was enough to make me sit up straight. A false alarm was one thing, but a floor with no camera feed? A floor that wasn't supposed to exist. I grabbed the radio and called maintenance out of habit, even though I already knew no one would answer at that hour. Nothing but static. So I called the overnight supervisor, straight to voicemail. For about 10 seconds, I seriously considered logging it as a system error and leaving it alone. Then the alarm chimed a third time. Motion detected. Floor 13. A weird feeling crawled up the back of my neck. Not fear exactly. Not yet. More like the sense that something in the building was off in a way I couldn't explain. Protocol said every active alarm had to be physically checked if there was no camera access. So I picked up my flashlight, clipped the radio to my belt, and stepped away from the desk. The lobby lights were dimmed for overnight mode, and the marble floor reflected everything in pale yellow streaks. My footsteps sounded louder than they should have. The elevator stood at the end of the lobby, stainless steel doors shut, indicator glowing softly above it. I pressed the call button. As I waited, I looked back once at the security desk. The red warning box was still flashing on the monitor wall. It made the entire bank of screens pulse faintly red. The elevator dinged. The doors slid open. I stepped inside, more annoyed than scared, still trying to convince myself this was some weird software glitch. Then I looked at the control panel, and every bit of that irritation vanished. There was a button between 12 and 14. Small, round, metal, 13. I just stood there staring at it. I had used that elevator almost every night for 6 months. I knew that panel. I knew every scratched number on it, every little dent near the service key slot. That button had never been there. I actually leaned closer to make sure I wasn't imagining it. The number was real, engraved, lit faintly from behind. At that exact moment, the radio on my belt crackled. A burst of static, Then, the alarm tone. I jumped and grabbed it. The same system voice came through, distorted and flat. Motion detected. Floor 13. My mouth had gone dry. I looked from the radio back to the elevator panel. Then, against every instinct telling me not to, I pressed the button. For a second, nothing happened. Then, the doors closed. The elevator began to rise. The numbers lit up one at a time. 10, 11, 12. It stopped. The lights inside the elevator flickered once. I felt the floor shift under my feet, like the car had settled into place. Then, slowly, the number above the door changed. 13. A soft chime echoed in the small metal box, and the doors started to open. The hallway outside was dark. Not just poorly lit. Dark in a way that felt wrong, like the light from the elevator was being swallowed before it could reach the walls. I raised my flashlight and stepped out slowly. The beam cut across a long corridor lined with glass office fronts and rows of empty cubicles beyond them. Dust covered everything. Not a light layer either. Thick dust. The kind that only builds up when a place has been closed for years. The carpet under my boots looked faded and stained. Old paper was scattered across the floor. A few ceiling panels hung crooked above the hallway. It looked abandoned. Completely abandoned. But that wasn't the part that scared me. It was the sound. Somewhere farther inside the floor, I could hear typing. Slow. Steady. Deliberate. Not frantic. Not random. Or like someone calmly working late in an office that shouldn't have existed. I turned back toward the elevator for half a second, thinking maybe I should go straight back down and pretend none of this had happened. But the doors were still open behind me, waiting. And the alarm on my radio was still flashing red. So I moved forward. Every step felt louder than it should have. My boots pressed into dust that hadn't been disturbed in a long time. At least, that's what I thought until I saw the footprints. They were on the carpet just ahead of me. Fresh footprints, work boots, same tread pattern as mine. I stopped walking. For a second, I just stared at them, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Then my stomach tightened. The footprints weren't just similar. They were identical, exactly the same size, exactly the same pattern. And they led deeper into the floor. I slowly lowered my flashlight and looked down at my own boots, then back at the prints. It felt stupid to even think it, but I couldn't help it. They looked like mine. I told myself that was impossible and kept walking. The corridor opened into a large office space with dozens of cubicles. Old desktop computers sat on the desks under a layer of dust. Except they weren't off. Every monitor was on, soft blue screens glowing in the darkness. Some showed login screens. Some showed security feeds. Some were just blank blue light. That cold glow filled the entire floor and made the place feel even more dead. The typing sound continued somewhere near the back. I moved between the cubicles, sweeping my flashlight from side to side. Dusty coffee mugs, dead plants, the stacks of yellowed paperwork, an old calendar still hanging on a divider wall. June 2011. That made me stop. If this floor had been closed for more than a decade, why were the computers on? And who the hell was typing? Then I noticed something else. One of the monitors wasn't blue. It was showing a live camera feed. I stepped closer. It was the lobby. My lobby. The security desk downstairs. Empty. My half-finished coffee still sitting beside the keyboard. I stared at the screen. Then another monitor beside it flickered. That one showed the front doors of the building. Then another one. Elevator interior. Then another. Loading dock. Parking garage. Every monitor around me was connected to the same security system I used downstairs. Only this setup looked older, bulkier, like an earlier version that should have been removed years ago. The typing stopped. The silence that followed was somehow worse. I turned off the flashlight for a second just to listen. Bad idea. The moment the beam disappeared, the entire office seemed to shift. Not physically, just in the way it felt, like I wasn't alone anymore. I snapped the flashlight back on and swung it toward the back corner of the room. That's when I saw the chair, a black office chair slowly rotating toward me. No one touching it, no one near it, just turning on its own in the blue glow of the computer screens. My grip tightened on the flashlight. "Security," I said, louder than I meant to. My voice bounced through the empty office. "If someone's up here, the building is closed." The chair kept turning. Slowly, calmly, until it faced me completely. Someone was sitting in it. At first, all I could see was the outline. A security uniform, dark jacket, flashlight clipped to a belt, one arm resting on the desk. I took a step closer before I even realized I was moving. And then the screen in front of the chair lit the figure's face. My legs nearly gave out. It was me, not someone who looked a little like me. Me. Same face, same haircut, same uniform, same radio clipped at the hip. But this version of me looked wrong. Paler, thinner, eyes sunken and dull, like he hadn't slept in years. He was staring at the monitor in front of him. I followed his gaze, and my blood turned cold. The screen was showing the elevator camera. Me stepping inside it 10 minutes earlier. Me pressing the button for 13. Even the version of me in the chair slowly looked up from the screen and locked eyes with me. Then he smiled. It wasn't a big smile. That was what made it worse. Just a slow, tired smile, like he'd been expecting me all night. And in a voice that sounded exactly like mine, he said, "You shouldn't have answered the alarm." For a moment, neither of us moved. The only sound in the entire office was the low hum of the computers and the distant rattle of the elevator cables somewhere behind me. I stood there staring at him, at myself. Every instinct in my body screamed that something about this was deeply, horribly wrong. The version of me sitting in the chair leaned back slowly, like he had all the time in the world. On the monitor in front of him, the elevator footage kept playing. I watched my own image on the screen step out onto the 13th floor, the moment I had walked into the hallway just a few minutes earlier. The video stopped, then rewound by itself, then played again. The other Marcus glanced at the screen, then back at me. "You always come up," he said quietly. His voice sounded tired, not threatening, just resigned. I finally found my voice. "What the hell is this?" I asked. My voice echoed weakly across the empty office. The other Marcus tilted his head slightly. "That's exactly what I asked," he said. "First time." A cold chill slid down my spine. "First time?" I repeated. He nodded slowly. Then he pointed at the monitor wall behind me. "Look." I turned. Dozens of screens were mounted along the wall, all of them showing security camera footage. But none of it was live. Every screen showed the same moment. Me, walking into the elevator, pressing the button for 13, over and over again. Different angles, different nights, different timestamps. Some were dated months ago, some years. My heart began pounding. "That's not possible," I whispered. Behind me, the chair creaked. "Yeah," he said quietly. That's what I said too." I turned back toward him. "Who are you?" He gave a dry laugh. "I already told you." His eyes locked onto mine again. "I'm you." I shook my head. "No." He leaned forward slightly. "You answered the alarm," he said. "Just like I did. And the one before me." My stomach dropped. "The one before you?" I said. He gestured toward the endless rows of monitors. "There's always someone on night shift," he said. "Someone bored enough to check the alarm. Someone curious enough to press the button." I felt the air in the room grow colder. "What happens if I leave?" I asked. The other Marcus didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned the monitor toward me. The screen showed the elevator again. Only this time, it wasn't the past. It was live. The elevator doors downstairs opened in the lobby, and another security guard stepped inside. Wearing the same uniform, same flashlight, different face. The other Marcus watched the screen quietly. Then he looked back at me. "See?" he said softly. "There's always another one." I backed away slowly. "No," I said. "I'm not staying here." He didn't try to stop me. He just watched, almost sympathetically. "You can try," he said. I turned and ran. The hallway looked longer now, darker. My boots pounded through the dust as I sprinted back toward the elevator. Behind me, I could hear the office chair creak again. But he didn't follow. I reached the elevator and slammed the button. The doors opened instantly, like it had been waiting. I stepped inside and mashed the lobby button. The doors closed. The elevator dropped fast. Faster than it had gone up. My ears popped as the numbers flickered downward. 13, 12, 11, 10. The car stopped hard. The doors slid open. The bright marble lobby appeared in front of me. For a second, I just stood there breathing hard. The building looked normal again. Silent, clean, empty. I stepped out slowly. Everything felt exactly the same as before. The security desk, the camera wall, my coffee still sitting beside the keyboard. I laughed under my breath, a shaky, nervous laugh. Just a dream, I muttered. Then I looked up at the monitors, and my stomach turned. Every screen showed the same thing, the elevator. And inside it, another version of me, stepping out onto the 13th floor.